Okay, so now we're going to introduce the topic of the mole. So in chemistry, when we talk about the mole, we're not talking about a little rodent-y type thing. I'm not a very good artist, but it's more like a cat. Nose and tail, no feet. So, maybe that. Anyway, the rodent, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about in chemistry, the mole, is a measurement of how many atoms or molecules do we have? So, as an example, if I were to say that you have a dozen apples, well, most of you would probably know right away, oh, that means you got 12, because we know that a dozen equals 12 of whatever you have. So if you have a dozen apples, you have a dozen elephants, you have a dozen ants, you've got the same number of apples, same number of ants, same number of elephants. They have different sizes, they do different things, but it's a measure of how many you have. So, what is a mole? Just like a dozen is equal to 12, a mole is equal to 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. So that means it's this, you take that, so scientific notation, 6.02, so after this, you basically, to convert that to what that number would look like, move this decimal place 23 places to the right. So what does that, what would that look like? So it would be, so it would be that many atoms, that many molecules, which is quite a few. Put in commas, just so we can kind of have some reference with that. So we've got hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, heptillions, I think, maybe pentillions, and then sextillions. So 602 sextillion atoms or molecules in one mole of something. So if you say you have a mole of carbon, that means that you have 602 sextillion atoms of carbon, or 602 sextillion carbon atoms. If you were to say that you had a mole of moles, well, that means you would have 602 sextillion moles, little furry things running around. Fortunately, there aren't that many moles on the planet, so we're kind of in good shape there. But just to give you an idea of how big this number is, so hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, so trillions. So right here, this is 1 trillion. So that's a trillion right there. And just the significance of that is that when you start talking about like the U.S. annual budget, you're talking trillions of dollars. And so hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, and then trillions. But we still have this much more beyond that. So we've got hundreds, thousands, millions. So it's like and a way of thinking about it is that, so hundreds, thousands, millions. So we've got, so 602 sextillion is if you had 602 billion trillions. I mean, just huge, huge numbers, ridiculously big numbers, and so that's what a mole is. So why do we have such big numbers when we're talking about a mole? Because it's primarily for reference with atoms and molecules. And atoms and molecules are tiny.